Hi, Joe Spelak here for the Friends of the Lower West Side. Want to call your attention to the fact that many units of affordable housing were downtown before the eminent domain actions of the 1940s and 50s and 60s, which displaced these thousands of people that had lived there sometimes for a couple of generations. I'm talking about the Police Precinct Plaza, the widening of Water Street, the new approaches to the Brooklyn Bridge, and in particular when built the Battery Tunnel in the 1940s and then the World Trade Center of the 1960s. All those people that had lived there for sometimes a couple of generations were forced to relocate, and no affordable housing was built for them at that time. At this point, it would be real social justice to find affordable housing for the people in need right now and make up for some of those many thousands of units that were lost before the government took over and forced the people out of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Hello, I am Todd Fine, a member of the Coalition for 100% Affordable World Trade Center Tower 5, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. In the many dozens of public listening sessions held in 2002 and 2003, New Yorkers demanded that the recovery effort include significant amounts of affordable housing. Participants stated that the redevelopment of the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan must acknowledge that working-class New Yorkers were heroes and victims of September 11th, and that the tens of billions of dollars of federal money should not only subsidize corporations and the rich. The recovery, however, did not fulfill that explicit promise for affordable housing, but the Port Authority now has the opportunity to do so with 5 World Trade Center. The current plan is unpopular. The lease arrangement does not appear consistent with the Port Authority's 1921 charter, and it does not meet Lower Manhattan's needs at this specific moment. Almost all local political leaders want this plan to be changed. Please rethink it. If the Port Authority works with the federal government and our congressional delegation and pursues a different path, it will send an extraordinary signal to the nation and the world while still meeting the desire for revenue. Please slow down and please choose justice. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mariama James, Mariama James. I'm a lifelong resident of Lower Manhattan. I grew up on Gold Street, across the street from the hospital. The hospital, I would be told upon 9/11 to stay close to. I was on voluntary evacuation because I live in a large enough housing complex that we didn't have to necessarily all evacuate. And so when my doctor suggested that I stay close to the hospital, having heard the U.S. government tell me that it was safe to do so, the air was safe to breathe, it was safe for me to clean up my own apartment, I did. I literally got on my hands and knees at almost 9 months pregnant and ripped up carpeting and did other things that in hindsight or retrospect, I probably shouldn't have. But again, I was told I could, I should, that it would be okay for me to do so. Those of us who stayed here, who returned here, and who moved here in the aftermath of 9/11 and lived through that war zone, we're who helped to rebuild Lower Manhattan. The LMDC was created to help us to do that financially. It was filled with federal money, and one of its charges was to build affordable housing, and it has not. It wants to close, or its parent company wants to close it, the Empire State Development Corporation, and it's been 20 years. It probably should close, but only after it has done what it was created to do. I support a 100% affordable residential tower at the former Deutsche Bank site, what will be the site of WTC 5 at 120 Liberty Street, where my mom worked, and from at Deutsche Bank, and from where she got stage 4 colon cancer, of which she's a survivor. I'm happy about that. But I lost my dad in May from 9/11 related COPD. And my children and I, and many of my friends and neighbors, have certifications of our own with 9/11 related conditions and disease. We shouldn't have to worry about being forced from our homes because we can't afford it, because we've made it so wonderful that we've priced ourselves out by developers that want to come here and build luxury housing that sits empty and no one needs, and high-end stores that no one can afford to shop at, that just continue to raise the overall prices in the area. I support this with a preference for 9/11 survivors, including, of course, first responders, our children, some of which are 9/11 survivors themselves directly, and senior citizens. And I support you getting on board with it too. Thank you.
My name is Jill Goodkind. I'm a 63-year-old widow and a 9/11 survivor, and I'm here to talk about 5 World Trade Center. My late husband, Tom Goodkind, advocated for over a decade to make 5 World Trade Center 100% affordable housing. In particular, he advocated that this housing include the survivors, the seniors, the first responders, and their families who sacrificed so much as a result of the terrorist attacks. The billions of 9/11 dollars that went to corporations and rich developers was so successful in building luxury housing and insanely expensive shopping malls that it resulted in pricing the people who rebuilt this community out of their homes. The need for affordable housing is real, and it is desperate for the 9/11 community. This community encompasses people from all over New York and New Jersey. And yes, affordable housing can be built on this site in a way that is economically viable for all. There is one thing, however, that no one needs, and that is an 80-story luxury tower on this sacred ground, on this public land, paid for with 9/11 funds. And a small percentage of MIH housing is simply not enough. This, the last 9/11 site, should be used to benefit the people of the 9/11 community, not to make rich developers even richer. Make 5 World Trade Center 100% affordable housing. Thank you.